Let's just be simple. 74. Shri Guru Vaishnava Mahatma Gita by Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Okay, musicians ready?
No musician.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Okay. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma
Bando Mui Savadhana Bye.
Jaya
lotus feet of the spiritual master are the abode of pure devotional service. I bow down to those lotus feet with great care and attention. My dear brother, my dear mind, it is through the grace of the spiritual master that we cross over this material world.
Make the teachings from the lotus mouth of the spiritual master one with your heart, and do not desire anything else. Attachment to the lotus feet of the spiritual master is the best means of spiritual advancement. By his mercy, all desires for spiritual perfection are fulfilled.
He who has given me the gift of transcendental vision is my Lord, birth after birth. By his mercy, divine knowledge is revealed within the heart, bestowing love and devotion and destroying ignorance. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character.
O spiritual master, ocean of mercy and friend of the fallen souls, you are the teacher of everyone and the life of all people. O master, be merciful unto me and give me the shade of your lotus feet. May your glories now be proclaimed throughout the three worlds.
I have surrendered unto your fearless lotus feet. Please give me your mercy. O Sri Gurudev, Savior of the fallen, please give me your mercy. You are the Savior of the lowly fallen souls. All glories to you, Sri Gurudev.
Gurudev says, we have no capacity to express our heart, but they, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das, and others, have had that capacity, and they have explained everything about our position. Their expression is very appropriate for our heart, and when we are hearing their poetry, we feel it is my own language coming through that poet. Srila Narottam Das Thakur expressed his heart, but it is for the benefit of everyone. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Maharaj. Jai Gurudev. Okay, sermons of the guardian of devotion, Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mata, Ki Jai. Sermons of the guardian of devotion, Volume 1, Ki Jai. Do you ever meet Dayadar Gauranga, Didi? Dayadar Gauranga? I guess he kind of disappeared a long time ago. He was English and like the right-hand man of Sagar Maharaj. Printed for August Assembly, which is Sagar Maharaj's program. So he did like, so many of these books, including many translations, because he knew Bengali, and he had learned it in the time of Prabhupada, because he had been given some instruction by Srila Prabhupada to work on some of the Bengali in his books, and so he was like very well versed in Bengali, and was able to give us so much possibility of developing Krishna consciousness through the words of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So we have some debt to Bhaktiananda Sagar Maharaj. Okay. Oh, wow. Nice. I want to read this forward. I'm pretty sure it's by Bhakti Sundar Govinda, Sri Gaur Purnima, 1989. Can't remember, all my dates are like jumbled. Like 89, 79, 99, what? Okay. guess the first one, Homeward Journey, chapter 1. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Any experience about the Lord must come from upper to lower. It does not depend on us. We can only increase the intensity of our hankering, of our serving attitude. Sevan Mukta. And whether he will descend on this plane or not depends on his whim. There is transcendental substance. He moves according to his sweet will. He may come down or he may not. At his will, he is free. We can only increase our earnestness for his presence. Although the potency and the potent are inseparably connected, we must generally know ourselves to be of marginal potency. So we're naturally lower. And we can't compel Krishna to appear. However we strongly we pray. Sometimes we'll just pray very lightly and we'll feel like there's substance that's there. We're feeling some higher inspiration. And other times we'll pray, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. We just don't feel anything. Just because Krishna is free. So we can't think, oh, I don't think he's really there because he doesn't always answer my prayer. No, he's not your servant. He is the Supreme. He comes according to his will. You can't comprehend his will. But if you learn to accept that Krishna acts by free will, we'll more and more enter into a deeper serving attitude. And that's, so like everything Krishna does, practically every circumstance in our life, if we think in those terms, that, behind everything is Krishna, and behind everything that happens to us, good or bad or in between, Krishna is there helping us. That's like such a, to remember that repeatedly over and over and over again, it will become more and more solidified in our consciousness, and the effects of the external energy on us will be reduced, stage by stage. It's maybe a very gradual process, or, in the beginning, sometimes people just get zapped and really experience some transformative experience in their inner heart. And that's, we were first told by Srila Prabhupada, I forget, was it the first year or something? Krishna is particularly, maybe less, I don't remember, but that Krishna is particularly kind to those who initially approach Krishna consciousness. And he gives them very substantial revelations come to them. And then after some time, it becomes less, apparently, but actually Krishna along the way is also testing us. Like, how much do you want Krishna? Come to a junction in your life and decide to go in the direction of Krishna's will. Again and again and again, we'll always be tested. I mean, even in the great souls, we see that there are external disturbances. It's like, I remember, like in the early days, there was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada who thought he's perfect. And, okay, we all think our gurus are perfect, but they're not perfect in an external way. So when Prabhupada knocked over a glass of water, he would always have a silver glass, knocked over the glass of water, and this devotee was like, oh no, he's not perfect. Freaked him out and eventually just left. Somehow it didn't register that the perfection can never have anything to do with the material activity, even though Prabhupada was really dignified and did do everything very carefully and perfectly. But nonetheless, there was always mistakes. So this kid was freaked out because he had ingrained it. That's Prabhupada is perfect, Prabhupada. And the conception of perfection, when we first come to Krishna consciousness, is like some kind of external perfection, because we don't know anything else. And gradually we hear and gradually we absorb the idea that the perfection is the real perfection, which is internal. And even the great souls who come down and take on a material body, they always make mistakes externally. And sometimes maybe those mistakes are to test us. You know, we don't know how that all works. But, you know, we just have to remember that the perfection that we see and we feel in ourselves and we see in our God brothers and of course in the great souls who we pray to, that perfection has to do with the internal loving development or experience of the heart in direct connection with their predecessor gurus. You know, it goes all the way back through our line and ultimately reaches Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if Mahaprabhu so wills, beyond that to Krishna. But really, we're taught our only approach is to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, this is Srila Sri Maharaj's particular emphasis. Though Prabhupada was emphasized that less so, he based his training of us a lot in line with how he learned about Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada, when he was a kid, his father gave him Jagannath deities. And he just developed and became attached, or appeared to develop, depending on how we view the great souls. He became developed and attached through Jagannath. So the first deities that we installed when we were in ISKCON was Jagannath deities. So I remember in Detroit they had these 3.5 feet Jagannath deities, just amazingly huge. And they would bring them all down. We had Rath Yatra in Chicago, and they would all ride on the Rath Yatra car. First year it was one cart, second year was 2 carts, going down the main street of Chicago, downtown Chicago. And the third year after I left, the city kind of backed off and made them go to a park and have the Rath Yatra there. But it was amazing. They closed the main street of Chicago where all the department stores are, every big high office buildings, tons of people walking back and forth. There's the Rath Yatra car going down the main street. It was like, wow, Krishna has some transcendental power here. This is Mayor Daley's time. I don't know if you ever heard of Mayor Daley, but he was like a heavy autocrat. But somehow or other, he let it go through. So it was his blessing. And sure enough, the same place, we sued the city of Chicago because they were arresting us with our Sankirtan parties. And I remember we had to get arrested. The lawyer from the American Civil Liberties Union told us we had to get arrested 8 times or something. So again and again, we kept going downtown, and the police, same police would come up and bring us into the van and bring us to the jail, and then, I don't know, we had to pay some very low bail or something. And get bailed out, go back, come down the next day, get arrested, go to jail, get out, come back. We did it 8 times, and the lawyer said, okay, that's enough. And then, based on that pattern of being arrested, and thereby breaking our civil liberties, the religious right that we had to act on our religious obligation, which was to give the Sankirtan, the chanting, and the books, and the understanding of our Krishna conscious experience to the people. That was our religion. So they had to allow it. And then it was the federal judge made a ruling all over Chicago. And shortly after that, we realized that somebody, I forget who told me, but maybe it was an official in Evanston where he had our temple. I don't remember. But anyway, turned out the airport was part of the city of Chicago. So we started sending book distributors to the airport. And they started distributing tons of books. Anyway, I'll tell a story. Okay. How much did I read? Did I read up to, although the potency and the potent are inseparably connected? Yes, I did. Okay. He is everywhere. He is nowhere. Everything is within him. Nothing is in him. Such is his peculiar and mystic position. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verses 4, 5, and 6. Thus, our duty is to try to serve him. We should not put much emphasis on feeling, quote unquote, him either by mind or body or even by intelligence. He is everywhere and he is nowhere in a flash. He may show, yes, I am here. Yet, when we are earnestly searching for him, he may be nowhere to be found. His nature is independent. We can search, but we cannot say that we shall find him. Excuse me. Sanskrit, put some glasses on. Okay. Ashlisha va padaratam pinashtumam adarshanam mama hatam karotu va. Our duty is to devote ourselves 100% and most intensely for him. We are only to serve him, and service does not mean that we must necessarily come in direct contact with him. Remote service is also service. Through his devotee, it becomes tangible. Okay, so that's our gurus. Through the mercy of the guru and the transmission that comes from Krishna, he has necessarily arranged that the transmission must come through the line of our great guru predecessors and then come directly to the devotee. So when we receive some experience of Krishna consciousness and it hits our heart, we can realize that that experience has been blessed, by our whole line, going to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaura Das Babaji, and all that back to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and even perhaps before him, Ramanujacharya, and that line coming up to Mahaprabhu. Anyway, okay, we should try to serve him through his devotees without expectation of any reward. We should have no desire except to serve, even without expecting to see him once, to have his darshan. We shall only want to be utilized by him. The little energy we have must be utilized for his cause. We are his potency, and we should prove that we belong to him. Mahaprabhu says, he may embrace me or reject me, or he may even be indifferent towards me. Whatever he likes, he may do, but I have no alternative but to serve him. We must adopt such an exclusive and unconditional attitude. That's like, what a goal that we can hear from Srila Sridhar Maharaj here. We have to adapt that kind of unconditional attitude. And, how does that manifest? It manifests through our regular, sincere and intense practice, where we always try to remember that, like I said, whatever's happening, Krishna is, I'm in relationship to Krishna, whatever is happening. That's difficult to even comprehend in our current state, but nonetheless, that's the reality. By nature, we all kind of think, well, this is my perception, and what's happening has to do with even we may think it has to do with my karmic conditioning or this or that. It may go in that line, but we can't forget that behind the karmic conditioning, behind everything else that has to do with the way we deal with the world and with others, it's ultimately all coming from Krishna. And, always remembering that descent from Krishna comes through our beloved gurus. And, trying to work on it and try to mold our life in relation to the Lord Krishna through the agency of the gurus that have descended to us. So by the mercy of, Srila Govinda Maharaj and his predecessor acharyas, we have this amazing temple. And we have this beautiful deity of Mahaprabhu and the beautiful Giriraj deity next to him. amazing pictures of our Guru line. You know, we have so, the mercy is like there, you know, the blessing is there. We just have to reach out and, you know, ask and express we're trying to surrender. And, you know, it may nothing may happen initially, may take a while, but eventually we'll get a feeling and experience that, you know, Krishna is there, like with us. And then it may disappear, and then it'll hit us again. It just works like that because we have to learn by experience that Krishna is in charge. It's not us. We can't like think, oh, I'm going to pray to Krishna and Krishna will respond. Not necessarily. Krishna does what he likes to do, and not only that, he may like to just test us, to see, you know, how much we have that desire and dedication to like give ourselves to him. Okay. We shall only want to be utilized by him. The little energy we have must be utilized for his cause. We are his potency, and we should prove that we belong to him. Mahaprabhu says, he may embrace me or reject me, or he may even be indifferent to me. Whatever he likes, he may do, but I have no alternative but to serve him. Oh, maybe I read that, but it's good to hear it again. We must adopt such an exclusive and unconditional attitude. Not that if he doesn't want to reciprocate according to my will, I won't like to approach him. So I shall join the atheists or the Mayavadis. Guru Maharaj is, you know, the way he expresses things is, there's always, not always, but a lot of the times, there's some, and particularly with Guru Maharaj even more, there's some underlying humor that's there in the way they present things. Just because, you know, the presentation of the great souls is like full of Satchit Ananda, you know, eternity, full knowledge, and bliss. So, you know, these qualities come through in their speech, in their just personal presence, and in their writings. You know, we can receive all these things by their grace. And they may want to give, maybe they want to give all the time, maybe not all the time, and ultimately Krishna can do the same. But, you know, we just have to learn that lesson that, you know, I cannot impel Krishna to answer my prayer. He can answer or not answer. You know, we're just like, you know, if we're just helpless and just, you know, here, kind of stuck here, but at the same time, not alone. You know, the material world is such a place that everybody is like stuck in their own karma. And because they don't know what to do, they just go on in their lives accumulating more and more karma. And maybe to a lot of people, they kind of mitigate their karma to some extent by their prayers in the church or the temple or the mosque. It like offsets certain things. Maybe it even gives some neutral experience. I don't know how it works. You know, it depends on each person's heart and their connection that they've developed through service. So we can never tell, you know. Just like I said last time, we can never tell who walks in the door. They may be someone who has, you know, lifetimes of experience before and have been met with, you know, 15, 20, 25 years of just experiencing again the nature of the material world, and then coming to Krishna consciousness according to some, you know, some blessing and higher arrangement. We just don't know. So as devotees, we're taught by our gurus, we respect everyone, because in everyone is Krishna in the heart, and not only that, everyone is walking a path that's been arranged by Krishna, and, you know, even coming into the temple, you know, bowing down to the deity or sitting down and hearing, they've followed some path of spiritual experience and some degree of surrender to bring them through that door. We have to see that and remember that. And, you know, in that way, like, deal with people in a very, like, respectful and humble way, but nonetheless, presenting the teachings of our gurus in a kind of a fixed, a presentation fixed in faith. I guess that's what I mean to say. Okay. If you don't come forward to satisfy me, then I shall seek my own way. I don't want you. That's Gurudev's idea of the person who's turning away. If there's any tinge of such an attitude, we are far, far away. Yata tata vad vidadha tu lampato mat prananatas tu saeva naparaha. We have no alternative but to serve you. To search means to serve. I want to be utilized for his cause. However petty the service may be, nothing is petty when it's in his connection. The least connection, even from far away. He need not please me, even by giving his darshan in a lightening way. Everything depends on his will. What a sentence, huh? He need not please me, even by giving his darshan in a lightening way. I mean, it just, you know, we've all like experienced that kind of a lightning realization and experience that, you know, has finally brought us in contact with our gurus. And along the way, we get hit with these experiences, and they come through our heart. Not always, but oftentimes in a lightning way, like, wow, that's, how did I not see that before? It's just like repeated over and over again, over time. Unconditional offering unto him shows faith of the highest type. If our offering is conditional, we shall have to remain far from him. The characteristic of the highest faith is absolutely unconditional. I am only to be satisfied with just the chance to serve him from afar, through some medium or many mediums, not only one. Dasa, dasan, dasan, dasa, satam, servant of the servant of the servant. I have his connection from afar, and my energy passes through the devotees, towards him, towards the center of fulfillment. Whatever my position may be, I want my connection with the greatest fulfillment of the whole world. Everyone is searching for such fulfillment of all their innermost necessities. Sarva dharmam parityaga mam ekam sharanam braja. Bhagavad Gita 1866. The search for him eliminates all other duties. A true devotee thinks there's no obligation to anyone except one, and he is my Lord Krishna. This is like the, especially I guess in the time of Srila Prabhupada, it was like an extreme break from like the ordinary material world. And usually it hit people, you know, after a short time. You see the devotees chanting, you feel something, you get a book, you sit down and read it, it's amazing, you go back and get another book, and it, you know, gradually works to bring you forward into Krishna consciousness. And I forget what I was just saying. Oh, right. Yeah, so we come to the point where we have to make a choice. You know, do I, in my case it was, do I leave behind my family, whatever obligations I have to my father, to some extent to my stepmother? Do I just walk away from that? Do I walk away from the possibilities of, you know, becoming established in the material world and finding some success? And do I just walk away from that? And the answer is you have to. You know, so Krishna consciousness now, as Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev has presented, the break isn't necessarily so extreme at first, but as we develop in Krishna consciousness, the connection and the depth of necessity for surrender and service is much greater than in the time of Prabhupada, because the development of Krishna consciousness has proceeded like successively. So what Guru Maharaj and Srila Gurudev gave was, not different from Srila Prabhupada, but simultaneously different and presented according to the necessity of our particular time and circumstance. So when we first came to Srila Guru Maharaj, many of us, most of us actually probably had already 10 years in Krishna consciousness. So like necessarily, his presentation was different. Prabhupada's presentation almost always was geared towards a newcomer. Any newcomer could hear about what Srila Prabhupada taught and understand it and enter into it. The presentation of Srila Guru Maharaj it's accessible to sincere people, no doubt. But, it kind of is underlain with certain assumptions about the understanding of Krishna consciousness that comes as a result of some time in Krishna consciousness. At least that's my experience. Okay. Then we shall be face to face with the positive side only. What is the positive side? It is the way from the center, lila, the play of... Okay. Someone tall enough to reach that, or is it in the back room? I forget. Do you know where it is, Dee? No. You see it?
Yeah, it's on the ceiling.
Can you reach it?
Wave the broom and clear out the smoke. Turn the fan on also. And open the door.
Come on, lads. What? Can't you reach it? Oh, did they get it? No.
Yeah, whatever we can do.
Oh, they're in one room, okay. What's that? Woo, 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 woo.
It's a
Oh,
siren
that's
message.
outside, huh? What gives?
Let's find out. He says Sripad Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaja ki jai.
Okay. Completely lost track. Oh, there it is. Dasanu Dasatvam. Okay, we read that. Sarvadharmam Prityaga. Read that. Okay. No trace of, last sentence. Not his direct contact, but contact with the greatest agent of his service will constitute the safer and higher relationship of Ananya Bhajan, exclusive service, eliminating all else. So, Ananya means like, there's nothing there. And it's not that there's nothing in the bhajan, but it's the mood of the person chanting the bhajan, that no attachment to the material world. That's our ideal. And, we see that ideal in our predecessor gurus, and we can feel it, at least to some small extent, when we pray to them. And we can pray to the gurus in our line individually. We may feel some, by looking at the pictures and meditating on them, we may feel some natural connection with one of our gurus. And that's like a good thing. Because if it hits you, it's a signal that, is descending from them, that somehow or other you've reached a particular relationship with that particular person. And it's there and it's possible with all of us. So we can look at the pictures of our deities, and it doesn't matter who is our guru, but we can pray to these predecessor acharyas also for help along the way in service to our guru, and establish some interconnection. And the more interconnection we can develop, the more feeling of internal necessity, the better our position in Krishna consciousness is. So, no trace of exploitation should be traced in us. We should not run after any type of enjoyment, including the enjoyment of God association. We must be fully purged of the enjoying spirit. So like at first when we come, wow, kirtan, what a feeling, it's amazing, whoa, how amazing. And that's okay, because it kind of, we get pulled in by that experience, because that's the plane of experience that we're on. But gradually, as Krishna consciousness hits us in a deeper way, we realize that we shouldn't even hanker after that type of enjoyment, because it's like personal motivation. So we pray to Krishna, try to serve Krishna, and if happiness and ecstatic feelings come to us, that's the Lord's mercy, and if they don't, that's also Lord's mercy. So the whole thing again is that Krishna is the one who's in charge. It's not us. We can't demand something. Krishna imagine that we're going to get it. It just doesn't work like that. We have to gradually learn what is our position, and that learning has to do with, sometimes lifelong attempts to surrender, and maybe many lifetimes. We just don't know. We have no idea what's really happening. Each one of us has some sense of experience of Krishna consciousness. We can kind of feel, to a small extent, what is our development, but we can't really tell, because that measurement is up to Krishna. So one person may be super sincere and may have not been around very long, but gets really high realizations. That happens sometimes. And someone's been around for a long time may not be hit with such high realizations. It just, ultimately depends on our relationship with Krishna, and Krishna is most pleased with us when we serve our gurus in that line, because that service for Krishna, when we talk about it and we look at pictures of Krishna, it's kind of a very indirect, it's an understanding that may come to our heart, but in a practical sense, in this world, how do we show our attempts to reestablish our relationship with Krishna? That's only through functional service. And that functional service is given to us by our gurus. And we can ask for it through prayer. We can take the inspiration and render service in the temple and with meditation on our gurus. There's so many opportunities in Krishna consciousness. We can go out and tell people about Krishna, chant Hare Krishna in public places, and that's all part of our development in devotional service. Okay. That wave is fulfilling the desire of the Supreme Lord, and we will be face to face with that. If the tendency for separate interest or reactionary retirement remains in us, we cannot have a touch of that eternal flow to satisfy the Absolute. When we are free from these two kinds of whims, we can come into connection with the eternal flow, where all points, everywhere, are active to satisfy the center. Center. Such a plane is not dry, it is happy, constructive, and nourishing, and that we shall be able to feel. Only a small touch of it will make us understand that we do not want a particle of anything else. This is our homeward journey, and any other want or demand will keep us in a foreign country, filled with death, disease, infirmity, rebirth, all these troubles. These troubles all occur because of misconception and identification of the soul with mortal things. Bhukti mukti sprihayavat pishachi hridi vartate tavad bhakti sukhasyatra katam abhyudaya bhavet. How can the joy of devotion appear in the heart as long as it is haunted by the ghosts of desire for exploitation and renunciation? These two ideas of renunciation and enjoyment are foreign to us. They possess us like ghosts. So it's like Krishna consciousness means, not accepting things based on our own selfish interest, and simultaneously not like walking away from things based on our own selfish conclusions about renunciation. Krishna consciousness means like serving Krishna according to the time and place that Krishna has placed us in, and serving him with an idea of developing devotion within, praying in that way. That's like the middle ground, and so slowly we have to transfer ourselves from the external ground of exploitation or renunciation and come to the reality of the middle ground of simply utilizing our senses, mind, and intelligence in Krishna's service. And just work on it and make that like a life's goal. We can't be impatient and think that Krishna has to show us or give us realization, if we try. And that's kind of like one thing that would block the realization. We just have to learn again and again to, try, at least pray for the idea of, never ill-motivated service based on any kind of desire for position or any external experience of, the rush of happiness or anything like that. We have to learn, okay, we're servants. That's it. And whatever comes to us, happiness, sadness, whatever, that's up to Krishna. Krishna can do whatever he likes. And our position is only to remember that it's Krishna that's doing this to me through the agency of my gurus. And I have to learn to understand in every situation how Krishna is there. Like within my own life, I tell this again and again. Anyway, I'll just generally talk about it. in my own life, what was I talking about? I lost track.
serving in this time and place, and how Krishna can, bring happiness, bring unhappiness, but you should always be in service.
I had a really cool angle. I guess I'm getting tired. Sorry about that.
You were talking about coming to the plane of devotion, like from the plane of exploitation.
Exploitation renunciation. You're saying that was my last sentence? Oh, darn it. Okay, sorry.
You were saying how you can't be impatient and be like, oh Krishna, you can reveal yourself to me, like for some reason something about being impatient. Like we can't be impatient.
Well, maybe it'll come to me as I read. Oh well.
Can I ask you a question, Maharaja?
Yes.
So as you're talking about like serving a time and place, right? Like utilizing what we have in front of us, I'm wondering like does that go for like even sense gratification? Like we can see sense gratification in service to Krishna?
Yeah. I mean, whatever basically we try to serve Krishna, and without expecting the return. And even if there's some expected return of sense gratification, we can still try to place ourselves in the position of servant, understanding that the point is to serve and have the serving attitude, and whatever comes will come by Krishna's will. It's like when in the early days in Krishna consciousness, the first, I don't know, maybe until Prabhupada departed, and after that for some time, the idea was that, the experience of sense gratification is all dependent on Krishna, and it should come from Krishna's service. So even when we were having kids, Srileka and I, the process was to spend the whole day before the actual act chanting, like 64 rounds was what we were assigned to do, and we did it, and sure enough, these devotees descended to help us. It's the consciousness that's there at the time of, before conception, that will fix the consciousness of the personality that descends. And we want that person who descends come to help us in our service and increase our understanding of the necessity of devotional service in our life. So I'm just saying, even that has its basis in the point that we're having kids is service. The point where we're doing this is service. Whatever comes may result or not result, but the point is we're serving, and whatever comes is Krishna's will. The main point is service. The main point is, like for us, bringing a child into this world. It was like that. So, in Krishna consciousness, we try to leave behind such type of sense enjoyment, but at the same time we clearly understand from our gurus that from Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj particularly, that our approach to Krishna is dependent on sincere heart and sincere attempt. And whatever flaws may be there are very secondary, and they'll fall away. So how do we bring ourselves to such a position? And again, the only way we can do that is by learning to constantly try to be in a position of service in our actions. Krishna, help me. Krishna, do you want me to do this? Krishna, even in our mind, thinking, we have a choice in our work. Well, which direction you want me to go in, Krishna? It may seem like it's unrelated, but it's not really. Krishna's God, so he's always there with us in every circumstance, every event. And if we acknowledge that by trying to go in that direction of remembering the necessity of the blessing of Krishna, then our faith will grow concomitantly, more and more and more. And it's like, we may get this year 1%, next year 2%, if we're lucky, and continue in that way. And my gosh, I was just telling Jaidev, he's got 50 more years at least. So wow, if he's making 1% every year, look at that. I've got 10 or 15, so I got a while still.
You'll live forever, Maharaja.
Oh yeah, right. Well, I will, depending on what body I take. Yeah, it's like, do I want to go to the heavenly planets? That'd be kind of cool. But that's also like, what? I have to be surrounded by sense gratification, and I'm going to succumb. Will I be able to fix myself in devotion when I'm surrounded with, high level sense gratification, beyond what we even conceive of in this plane? And the idea is, well, probably not. So I don't want to go to hell, but let me just, it should be, I'll go to hell and be a devotee. But in my position, I'll just think, I'll just take birth again on this plane. Krishna will just help me in that direction. Allow me not to go to hell. But if he does, I'll wake up, with flames around me. Like, okay, Krishna, this is what you want. Ah, I'll take it. Ah. Okay. Let me read this. I guess not. The two ideas of renunciation and enjoyment are foreign to us. They possess us like ghosts. They have taken possession of our ego and are playing with it. We are prey in their mischievous hands. These ghosts of renunciation and enjoyment. So there's our Krishna conscious understanding, which is, I guess not surprisingly, I just watched a show on, they've kind of come to some conclusions that behind everything is a vibration. And this show is saying, well, it's the vibration of Om. That's like the most developed understanding of how matter is produced from energy. And so they're seeing it in that way. And they see up to the level of Brahman. But they can't pierce that. Because we learn that in order to pierce the realization or even the basic understanding of Brahman, you have to have be able to render devotional service, because that's our real eternal position. And if we render devotional service and we try to learn from our gurus, they'll directly tell us and show us in books what the spiritual world is like. What is our prospect? I remember we were told, I guess by Srila Prabhupada, that just like you get a travel brochure that talks about how cool the beaches are, the warm ocean, the cool straw hut you can live in, and all this stuff. In a similar way, we read about our prospect of Krishna consciousness and living in a world with Krishna, where we can herd cows with him and play with him. I really like that idea of being a little kid and playing. I guess, it's natural. We're all have been little kids and have that feeling of freedom. You're totally dependent, but that person who you depend on is not going to betray you. So you don't have to think about anything like survival as we do in this world. It's as we're told, like a life of full freedom. And, it's not impersonal. We have so many conscious experiences of friendship. Even Krishna likes to hug his friends. And, you know, you get to pet these amazing cows with, you know, amazing eyes, and even hug them. I mean, whew, what kind of life is that? Okay. Okay, we must be free members of the infinite world where the noble flow of dedication flourishes. No limited aspirations exist there. A current of wholesale dedication flows towards the center and all concerned, and that is our home, the soil where we can live eternally. There, all individuals, and they're all our individuals, and there is no death, no birth, no infirmity, and no disease. Our inner self will emerge and mingle with the residents of that land. I mean, can you imagine? This is a personality who's here with us in this world, and he's speaking like this. I mean, you know, so like deeply embedded with realization. I mean, telling us about the reality of something that's way beyond our perception. But yet, we can see in the way in which he presents things, and even in the, you know, the construction of the words and all these things, they're just like imbued with the higher realization. You know, imbued with the, you know, their sense of love and freedom that comes from Krishna consciousness. Yeah. They're just like sitting there talking, and they're just filled with, you know, happiness and freedom. And somehow they're in this world with us. Our own experience should not be easily relied upon, such as thinking, this is God, this is my conception, I have a touch of God. There was a Babaji who was thought by many to be a great devotee. Whenever he took the name, he shed incessant tears. Liquid also oozed from his nose, and he was seen to be in some abnormal meditating position. On either side of him, his attendants would constantly be cleansing his tears and face with napkins as he madly chanted the name. Some atheistic persons considered that he was displaying religious fanaticism, while common people who had some simple faith in God estimated him to be a high-class devotee. But our Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, rejected him and his antics as devoid of proper God conception. Ata nishatta nisharga pichala swante tadabhyasa paripicha sattva bhasham vinapi shu kwapya shu palukadaya. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami. Whenever shedding tears, horripilation, etc., are seen in persons whose hearts are soft externally and hard internally, and who are habituated to crying, rapture, etc., even though they do not possess a semblance of divine emotion, such an imitative sentiment should be known as totally unsubstantial and lifeless. I can remember the first couple of years I went to Vrindavan, and the Krishna Balaram temple was a road maybe a mile outside of the main Vrindavan town. And along the road as we went down, on the left, on the right, was a place Prabhupada told us was filled with sahajas. And other couple places were filled with, you know, sincere devotees trying to enter into the name. And Vrindavan is like that. There's some really sincere devotees you can meet, and there's some really like distorted sahajas that you can meet. I remember on the road leading to Vrindavan, maybe just before the town, this like person comes walking by, and he's got long hair and like this ugly lipstick, and he's like chanting, and I look at him, I think, what is that? And you know, suddenly I realized that's like a man who thinks that he's a gopi, and he's dressing up like that. I thought, whoa. I'm thinking at first, even in Vrindavan, but now I understand, particularly in Vrindavan, because they go there to imagine their advanced position in relation to Krishna, in a loving mood, which they imagine them becoming a gopi. So they get some lipstick and grow their hair long, and I don't remember, maybe it was wearing a sari, I forget. But, it's just like absolutely bizarre. And you can just see the position of such a person. He's not, imbued with devotion like our gurus are. He's like just another vibe that has to do with the material world. It was so bizarre to see. But Prabhupada just told us, well, you're never going to be in a place in this world which is fully, devoid of such type of imitators. And in the holy places, you'll find that some people are drawn there just to express their, imitative show of devotion. So, Vrindavan is like this. So we shouldn't be shocked when we go to Vrindavan to see some weirdos in the street. I guess I'm preparing you guys. Be ready for weirdos, but also be ready for some really cool, sincere devotees that are there, particularly in the place where our mat is. I mean, there's some really nice devotees that stay there. I think Keshavananda is still going for 8 months out of the year. He's my former son-in-law, he spent years and years and years in Vrindavan running the Western devotees accommodations there. And every time someone comes from the West, he's, makes their bed, sets up their room, everything nicely, and lets them know if you need anything, I'll run the town for you. And, he's just most of the year serving so much variety of different devotees. I just think, somehow or other, his sincerity brought him to a place, the holiest of holy lands, and there all he does is serve devotees. I mean, that's like an aspirational position for any one of us. And there he is, doing that. It's just amazing to see. Okay. Where was I? Okay. By practicing, one can acquire that mental condition of shedding tears, and one can show many feats as though he were a real devotee. Merely the display of some peculiar external characteristics does not prove the presence of pure devotion. Real devotion is sudurlabha, a very, very rare achievement. When we can neglect the proposal of emancipation, we might think that we possess a speck of real devotion. In the face of devotion, emancipation is belittled as very lowly. Moksha laguta krit, Bhaktiraj Sindhu, Purva 1:14. Yet devotion is so rarely to be found, we may not expect that we have attained it. Sudurlabha. In one word, when we say that we have some devotion, we are not in devotion. Rather, we can feel that we have nothing, although we have no aspiration for any other thing. At that point, we may be making some progress. Whoa, that's a ways away. We do genuinely want something, although we can't clearly understand what. But we appreciate the devotees and the divine scriptures of devotion. When our appreciation is on that side, yet we feel we are bereft, that is a sober and healthy position. So vacant. So sometimes, it's natural. We feel some emptiness, we feel some lack of connection with Krishna, and we wonder either, I must have, really blown it, I'm so fallen. And I've seen some people think like that, and, without correcting it, they go away. But, the idea is rather than to lament about the circumstance that we've arrived at, in an external sense. We have to take shelter of the internal sense of the circumstance. You know, again, where Krishna has arranged this, there's some lesson for me, let it be shown. Okay, I was going to tell the lesson again about my being kicked out of my temple presidency in Chicago. Did I tell you guys the story? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Do you know it?
Yeah, I've heard
Okay,
it.
well, everybody
A few
knows
times.
it. Okay. Anyway, I was kicked out, and I didn't realize until like 7 years later, I got a chance to go to Srila Maharaj, which if I was in a position of responsibility in ISKCON, I never would have gone to Srila Maharaj. So I understood at that point, wow, I went through all that just to obtain the objective of seeing Srila Maharaj. And it was difficult, and people offered things for me to come back and do things in ISKCON, but I was just, I'm done. But I still followed the devotion. Srila and I were worshipped in our house. You know, we always had the deities of, little deities of Jagannath and deities of Mahaprabhu. And anyway, we worshipped in our house and prayed, and you know, eventually by Krishna's kind graces, we came to the lotus feet of Srila Maharaj. Prabhupada departed in 77, and I think we found Srila Maharaj in like 83. And we were blessed by Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, who came and like, I remember when I first heard of Srila Maharaj, I was like, only Prabhupada. Prabhupada is my guru. I don't want to hear from any other guru. And then he and Sagar Maharaj sat me down for like a whole night. I was arguing and objecting and objecting. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. Finally I just said, oh, okay, I accept. And my life was like, whoo, transformed. All of a sudden, Prabhupada has left. There's another pure devotee that I can take shelter of. Whoa! It was like, you know, so like revitalizing to know that you know, Krishna always sends some opportunity for shelter. And you know, we have to be able to perceive how that is, you know, coming through to us. It comes through to us in amazing ways that are almost like inconceivable sometimes. But it's Krishna working on us through the agency of our gurus. And it just works like that. So if we work to please our gurus, even your guru is is far away or something, that's okay. You still, clean the dishes, clean the floor, make flower garlands for the deities, do all these different things for the service of your guru. And in that kind of meditation, Krishna will be pleased with you. And progress in Krishna consciousness will develop, pretty much concomitant with your attempts to surrender. But of course, you're just reading that Krishna doesn't always immediately respond. Well, he tests us. We get tested all the time. But, eventually we'll look back and see, oh, that's why it happened to me. Krishna was helping me. I didn't think I was being helped, but he was helping me. So I've had that experience was the main experience. But also there's been smaller experiences along the way that just, made it clear that Krishna wants me to be a devotee without any kind of aspirations in the direction of, being a great renunciate or being a great surrendered devotee or anything attached with that, but just trying to be a servant. That's what Krishna wants. And sometimes if you don't have that, he'll slap you once or twice, and as a lesson. It's like, Prabhupada told us, it's like the mother, if we try to, as a little kid, if we try to reach to the flame on the stove, she'll slap us. So Krishna, does like that along the way. We get slapped, they used to say upside the head. Krishna slaps us sometimes, but as far as because of his kindness. Okay, right. In the face of devotion, emancipation is belittled as very lowly. Moksha laguta krit bhaktirasamrita sindhu. Devotion is so rarely to be found, we may not expect that we have attained it. Oh, did I read this? Sadurlava. In one word, we may say that we have some devotion. We are not in devotion. Rather, when we can feel that we have nothing, although we have no aspiration for any other thing, at that point, we may be making some progress. So that's like, a beginning stage where you don't desire anything. And then from that position, we work on gradually entering into a kind of the neutral stage of devotion, where devotion is simply internally and we can't see a connection, just like kind of we are now. We can't see, even though we're in pure service, we haven't developed our devotional attitude to the extent where it's going to manifest tangibly in relationships and service on the spiritual plane. There's always a higher objective in Krishna consciousness. Even we read about the level of the gopis with Krishna. They're always thinking, oh, I need more devotion. I need to get better with this. I need to, be a better servant. And these are the highest devotees. So, it's like, it's practically just the opposite of our material aspirations. We want to come to a stage where everything's cool, we're just, relaxed and, kicked back, and we're free from anxieties and all this stuff. But Krishna consciousness means you transition from the material sphere, where all these things are there, through a neutral sphere, where it may be like, oh, it's so wonderful, this and that. But there isn't devotion there yet. So for that reason, some people fall down, and also for the reason of continued devotional aspirations, we may ascend to like, higher planes of devotion, where the devotion becomes a tangibly realized plane of existence. It's just the devotional attitude and mood comes from Srimati Radharani, and based on her mood and devotion, that power of devotion builds the whole spiritual world. So if we culture our devotion to a point where we're, free from material attachment, at that point we begin to work on our devotional connections. And in that, from what I've understood, from what I read, each particular stage is a plane of realization, which is like amazing experiences. But everybody's always thinking, oh, if I'm just more devoted to Krishna, that's our future. We're in a plane where everything is amazing. Krishna's there. We're, playing in the river with him and stuff, and that's the possibility. But it's not what we may expect in our material perception. It's on the transcendental plane, and we're always feeling a lacking. Like now we may feel a lacking based on our, also lack of devotion, but also in this plane just a lack of, positive experiences as the soul expects, based on our, our innate understanding of the reality of a world that's beyond the world of birth and death. Okay. We do genuinely want something, although we can't clearly understand what, but we appreciate the devotees and the divine scriptures of devotion. When our appreciation is on that side, yet we feel we are bereft, that is a sober and healthy position. So vacant. We ought to remember that although we are negative, infinitesimal parts, we have come forward for a relationship with the infinite, the absolute. What price should we be prepared to pay for that? What form does that price take? We ought not to purchase such a thing very cheaply. To serve the devotees will be tangible, and to continue with that devotional practices and programs that have been recommended by the scriptures and the saints is most important. To go on, that in itself should be our reward. Amazing. Now read that again. To go on, in our devotion, in our practices, that in itself should be our reward. Like the amazing experiences, amazing feelings we get in relation to trying to apply ourselves to, devotional service. And that, that small teeny experience is like a massive reward based on our previous experiences of the enjoyment and happiness that's there apparently in the material world. We are reading about him. We are serving the saints and hearing their words. This is an engagement in itself. If we are thus satisfied, we have something that must not be underestimated. There's a great value in having the company of the saints and the scriptures without mixing with the robbery of this material world. What is present here at this moment becomes nothing at the next. We are not of this world full of treachery. We are disgusted with the treacherous aspect of the world that charms us and engages us in a treacherous soil. Now something, next moment, then nothing. We must give that up and try for something substantial, Satchit Anandam, eternal existence, uncontaminated consciousness, and finally, the fulfillment of all our inner necessities, the corresponding engagement of the whole of our existence. So sometimes devotees pray that, let me not accumulate things in the material world. Let me not, have the distractions of the temporary attachments of this world, the temporary accumulation of objects and, surroundings that are based on our exploitation. We try and pull away from those, but the only way really that we can actually pull away is by positive engagement in devotion. And that enables a consciousness that will, give the power necessary to pull away, and also simultaneously the power and experience necessary to retain that experience. Otherwise, renunciation is always temporary. It's the nature of the material world. You renounce, you get some experience of that renunciation, and then it goes away and you see an object of attachment. Or it goes away, but then you try to renounce again. Or it's just like on and on, back and forth in the material world. And after a while, the soul begins to realize all these different experiences, up, down, up, down. There must be more. And yes, there is. And according to our consciousness, we're directed internally and also externally. Things appear in such a way that we're drawn to devotional service. And that's how it works. And as we progress in devotional service, the drawing becomes more and more internal, and we gradually transform ourselves from a person seeking objects in this world to a person seeking to enter into the valuable state of like devotion, which automatically makes everything in this world secondary, at least secondary. For the great souls, they don't need anything, they don't care about anything. But in our particular stages, we may need to have these things just to enable us to get through the material world. And it's like that, and it's natural. And our gurus have given us that possibility of gradual progress in Krishna consciousness, but at the same time always emphasizing the ultimate objective. Ultimately, we leave these things behind. Ultimately, 24 hours a day, devotion. When they present that, they're presenting an ideal. They're not like saying, oh, well, if you don't have it, you're just no good or something. They're saying, this is the ideal, this is the way to gradually progress. That's what our gurus give us. They give us tangible things to do within our current plane of consciousness to develop in Krishna consciousness. It just like manifests in that way, in like sometimes really like magical ways. Okay. Okay, we are but tiny souls, and many things may be miraculous to us. Yogis and mystic persons can show many miracles and captivate us. It is easy to capture a tiny soul by miracles. There are many powerful miracle men in the world. I like Guru Maharaj's miracle-men in the world. Let God save us from their hands. We must not allow ourselves to be the prey of so many miracles. May that charm leave us once and for all. Yadi karibe Krishna nama sadhu sangha kara. Bhakti mukti siddhi vancha dure parihara. If you are going to chant the holy name, keep the association of pure devotees and totally abandon all your desires for enjoyment, liberation, yogic perfections, or miracles. May all these alternative prospects, exploitation, renunciation, and miracles retire forever. So it's like in like more basic understandings of devotion that are manifested in the like worldly religions. What was I going to say? The degree of I lost my track of my thinking. Sorry. The degree of devotional connection. Is kind of like devoid of this idea of ultimate, pure, unalloyed, pure devotion, because you hear generally the idea is, oh, be a good person, follow Christ, and you'll go to heaven. You'll get that result, where you're going to go and the roads are paved with gold, and you know you can pick anything you want out of trees, and you know all this is really cool. This is where you want to go, but in devotional service, we realize, yes, there are places like that, but we don't want to go there. We want devotion, and that's it. We're aspiring for devotion, and wherever we go is up to Krishna. He may have ideas for our rendering service somewhere other than we may expect to go, and that's all right, because Krishna is the controller, and we are his devotees. So how nice if Krishna sees us as a devotee and sends us to a place to render devotional service. You know, that's really amazing. And you know, we can hear from our gurus that you know, devotion. Oh man, I'm really getting tired. I'm sorry. That devotion. What did I just last say?
You were saying that we have an idea from our predecessors or gurus.
Anything more? We have an ideal, okay, from the predecessor gurus, and
How like we want devotion, we don't want to really go to, you know, we can go anywhere Krishna wants us to go. You were saying how like sometimes there's
right.
this idea of heaven is a certain way. And
right, right. So I said the idea is that we want devotion, and the position, the place of devotion, you know, shouldn't really matter for us, because the essence of our future has to do with like devotional life. So Krishna may send us anywhere, up and down, but if we wind up being born as a devotee, that's all we require. You know, I mean, what an amazing like future is there for us. We can go anywhere Krishna wants, and we'll still have that that essential part, that essential internal reality of our existence. It will be with us. So you know, we can know that even if we don't reach perfection in this life, we hear from our gurus, and we can know that wherever we're going to go is going to be a position in which we can leave off exactly at the position that we attain to in this life. So it's just like that. So, you know, what an amazing thing. Whatever we do gives us some, like Prabhupada called it, an internal bank account. We can keep putting money in there from our devotional activities and we'll never lose it. Whereas you can become a billionaire in this world and then you die. And where are you going to go? What have you done? You've exploited thousands of people. So what? Thousands of births where you have to like pay back the exploitation of thousands of people? Something like that is how it works, which is really heavy. But, you know, I've seen it in the scriptures. Like they say that if you participate in the killing of a cow, you take births that are equal to the number of hairs on the cow. What? I mean, that's like, is that possible? That's what they say. Is it just to make us fearful? Okay, I accept that. Well, what if it really is real? Whoa! I mean, you know. But then again, if we pull away from those inauspicious activities and try to take shelter of our gurus, then those previously accumulated inauspicious reactions, they get modified and minimized and gradually like erased, which is the power of devotion and the power of connection with our Guru Parampara. They have that power, they have that capacity because they're connected with Krishna. And if they want it, Krishna will give it. Just like that. If our the great gurus want something for us, automatically Krishna will give because they're his beloved, and that's Krishna's reciprocation. So what is our chance? Our only chance is to get the shelter, you know, of these great souls. And if we get that shelter, then we can know with faith that, you know, whatever happens in our life, whatever mistakes we make, whatever difficulty we run into, Krishna will always help us. And if we just remember that and pray to Krishna and more realize that life means to be a servant. And, you know, the real idea of service doesn't have to do with anything or person of this world, but has to do with our relationship with Krishna that comes to us through the line of gurus. What time is it? Maybe just a few more minutes. Is that okay? Okay. We want only the Lord of our heart who can award the deepest satisfaction. All the atoms of our innermost constitution have their corresponding engagement with him, and that too is of the highest quality. All the atoms of our innermost constitution have their corresponding engagement with him, and that too is of the highest quality. Every atom, it's like, whoa. I mean, but it's natural. It's kind of mind-blowing, but it's natural. If Krishna is God, then he's God over everything. He's not just God for me as the soul, but he's God over everything in this temporary world and, you know, and beyond. So he's with us in the soul, but simultaneously, he's with us by arranging circumstances for us to grow like in devotion. And we just try to always see like that. Krishna, is this what you want with me? Okay, I'll try. Not, Krishna, why are you doing this to me? You know, we just have to, sometimes it's really hard, but we have to try to remember that. This proposal is given by the Gaudiya Vaishnava school under the direction of Sri Chaitanya Dev and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. In the Vrindavan proposal, the infinite is in the nearest position with the finite, aprakrita. Aprakrita is where the infinite has come nearest to the finite, as though one of them. When he is so close, so near, no one can easily recognize whether he is infinite or not. Mahaprabhu has suggested to us, try for the chance for your fortune in Vrindavan. There is such a wonderful process. Nanda and Yashoda, Krishna's father and mother, have captured the absolute, and he is crawling in their compound. Aham iha nandam bande yasyalinde param brahma. Try to secure a position there, however negligible it may be. Try for your fortune. So we are in search of such fortune where all other proposals are eliminated. Kam prati katayitam ishe samprati kova pratitam ayatu gopati tanaya kunje gopavidhuti vitam brahma. To whom can I tell it, and whoever will believe it, that the Supreme Personality, Absolute, Param Brahman, the paramour of the damsels of Braja, is enjoying in the groves on the bank of the Jamuna. I think this is one verse from the Padyavali that Srila Gurudev had on his wall. Who can I tell? And whoever will believe it. Supreme Absolute Param Brahma, the paramour of the damsels of Braja, is enjoying in the groves on the banks of Dandavat. It is inconceivable that the Brahman, the greatest, the Absolute, has come to search for the least love of the cowherd damsels of the Gopi class. He is approached in such a near and close way and in such an ordinary rural style. Ordinary rural style. Try your fortune there. We are out to do just that under the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Dev, who is understood to be the combination of the positive and negative aspects of the Absolute. The positive is busy distributing himself to others. Mahaprabhu is that infinitely and inconceivably generous aspect of the Supreme. We must not search for any sentiment in ourselves, divine or otherwise. Once one disciple was engaged in the service of his guru, when a messenger from Vaikuntha came to fetch that disciple, saying, "The Lord is satisfied with your service to your Gurudev, and he is calling for you, so please come." The disciple replied, No, I have no time to attend to your call for Vaikuntha. I am very busy in the service of my Gurudev. That should be our attitude. I have my engagement under the guidance of the Vaishnavas here. I don't like to be disturbed from this position. Sakyaya te mama namostu nityam. Tasyasya te mama rasostu satyam. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, the greatest exponent of the faith of servitude to Srimati Radharani, Radha Dasyam, says, I won't allow myself to become fascinated by the proposal of the higher level of service as a friend, Sakya. Rather, I shall tend always to do the lower service, Dasya, the servant of the servant. I shall not consider myself to be a high-class servitor, and I shall always tend to go towards the lower class of service. But he may forcibly take me to a higher service. No, you are no longer to serve there. Now you must serve in this higher category. But I consider that I am not fit for that confidential service, my Lord. You may engage the higher servitors in your confidential group, while I may serve in the lower level. That sort of tendency is safe for us. We should always be tending towards the lower service, and it is his business to forcibly take us up to a higher group, should he wish. Quote, no, you are qualified to render such service, and you should no longer remain in the lower group. But the tendency of the servitor will always be towards the lower service. Dasyaya te namara stu. I would like to be engaged in service as a servant, not as a friend. That should be the normal tendency of a devotee. With such a mood, he is safe. Even in that world, he should have no ambition except to be the servant of the servant of the servant. Hearing of such things from the devotees and from the scriptures, we may think such a conception to be exaggeration, but it is the reality. And we should search out this pristine substance within us. This is a safe and wholesome position. Okay, that's the end of chapter 1. Sermons, the guardian of devotion. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Okay. You want to chant Hari Haraya?
Sure.
Play the drum.
All right.
Kartals are there? Who's good with kartals? You guys, okay. That's all we can do is try. We try, and then Krishna decides if we're a klutz or we're an expert. It's up to Krishna.
You want to chant, Prabhu?
Sure. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Madhavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Madhavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Shriman Sudhana. Jidari Gopinath Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra. Prabhakara Shiva Sai Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhakta Raghunatha. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhakta Raghunatha. Jai Gosai Gauri Charana Vandana. Jaha hoite Vignana Abhishta Purana. Jai Gosai Jata Munitara Dasa. Amsavara Padari Panchagrasa. Adhyacharana Sevi Bhakta Sannivasa. Janame Janame Mora Abhilasa. Jai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Koila Basa. Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Purila Prakasha. Anande Bolo Hari Bhajan Jai Sripad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Varya Astatara Sata Shri Srimad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sripad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Varya Astatara Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Sripad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Varya Astatara Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti where are we? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Rinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Dave.
Beautiful, heartfelt sharing, Maharaj. That
Yeah.
was about his Bhima Krishna purposes.
You're going to eat. Jai, jai, jai. Okay,